Race 3 of the BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup. Sunday morning, Altenberg in Saxony. And this German track with a fierce reputation has always been a happy hunting ground for local crews. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a cold and snowy Altenberg on the final day of sliding of this third weekend. I'm Martin Haven, alongside me, John Morgan. John, this track has been a German playground for so many years.
Yeah, a very dominating German playground, and built by the East German sports people way back in the early 80s. They've adjusted, adapted it, and look at the start record here. 1996! It's a 20-year-old start record. Unbelievable that that's been around. Benish curve coming up, named after Matthias Benish, who runs this track now. He tipped over curve one on one of the practice days a long time ago. His name lives in infamy on the track now. Curve three, right here. Exit of curve three. A lot of problems in skeleton, some problems with two-man Bob. Nico Walter says he lost the race yesterday, lost a medal there in that spot. Top of the track, 6, 7, 8, three-corner combination, a labyrinth. Everybody's got to have one. 9, now big sweeping right, and you exit the Chodai curve, named after Harold Chodai, who won the 94 Olympic Games gold medal in Lillehammer, into the toughest Kreisel. You can't believe the speeds and the change of direction, and you exit slingshot effect. 11, 12, toughest two-corner combination on the planet. 13, huge pressure. The sleds can go airborne into 14, uphill section into 15, speeds 80 plus miles an hour. Huge G-force here in 15, 16. Martin, this is what we call Darlington.
Yes, it is.
Of the bobsled world. It's a track too tough to tame, and we've seen some awesome racing here in the last 2 days.
And what we've seen is, because of the really cold temperatures overnight, the ice has been very hard and very fast. It's a little milder today, hopefully not much snow in the air. Ice -4, -5, and that's a conservative estimate, I would think. But our Ice Meister promised records yesterday. We got a hatful of them. We might break the 2008 track record today as well. That nearly 21-year-old start record, that might take a little longer. Well, all the athletes warming up, final preparations being made to the sleds, just adjusting the runners. There's Francesco Friedrich, won in the two-man race yesterday. His third win in 4 years in two-man. There's our World Cup points leader, Rico Peter, had his first ever career World Cup four-man win last time out in Lake Placid. But last winner on this track in four-man was Francesco Friedrich. Well, that's our start list. Kicks off with Nico Walter, the hometown hero here, like Friedrich, from this region. This is his home track, his home bob club here. Ollie Biddulph of Great Britain makes, I think, is only his 5th World Cup start. And a little further down, Rico Peter, our points leader. Johannes Lochner, who got a bronze medal in Whistler. Alexander Kazyanov, the winner in Whistler. Lamin Dean's here. Stephen Holcomb, silver in Lake Placid. And Francesco Friedrich, our two-man winner. 20 sleds in the field. This is the blue ribbon event of ice sliding. The four-man bobsleigh competition is the one that brings the crowds flooding in on a Sunday morning. Nico Walter will be the focus of a lot of local attention.
Walter wants to extract a little revenge on the track. He was in second place into the first heat yesterday, fell all the way to 6th. Very disappointing for him. He's a local Dresden guy, and he said, thank God there's a four-man race today, because he was pretty unhappy with his results yesterday.
Nico Walter won the four-man race here 2 years ago and took the silver medal last year. It was a clean sweep for German teams last year, with Max Arndt the bronze, Nico Walter the silver, and Francesco Friedrich taking gold.
It looks a lot cleaner. Of course, these four-mans, these big sport utilities, compared to those two-mans, which are like sports cars, these sports utilities go a little straighter and a little tougher to get in trouble. But when you get them into trouble, like he almost did right there, they have a mind of their own, and especially on this track. Listen to the rumble. Boy, he looked late there, didn't he? Speed. Wow. 81.5. That's not much different to the two-man speeds we saw yesterday. 54.80. Well, he's a second 63 hundredths away from the track record. We aren't going to see any track records today.
Interestingly, the start record 5:04. These guys started 5:13, and this will not be the fastest starting crew.
Well, he won't be 400 or 500ths off. The cohesion of a four-man bobsled start. You think this is easy?
Ooh, he didn't get in easy,
Get in. Look at this. And look at his arms, crossover. He's got to get him underneath to get on the cow. Look at the brakeman. He's waiting for the other guys to get settled in. Not easy jumping in that little bathtub. Look at the runner tips here. You know, the two-man's had a lot of problems through 13, 14. The four-man's, yeah, that's probably what you're going to see a lot of.
Gold and silver in the last 2 years. He'll be hoping for a big result here. So will Ollie Biddulph, the 24-year-old from Taunton. 18th here last year in the four-man. He's had 2 World Cup races here of his 4.
Got some good athletes here.
Yeah. Sam Blanchett, the rugby player at 2. Ben Simons at 3. Joel Fearon, the 3rd fastest 100 metres ever by a British sprinter he recorded in the summer. Just too late to get included in the Rio team. But Joel Fearon on the back handles there is mighty fast athlete.
I think Ollie's going to not understand the afterburners he's going to get here. This will be the fastest start he's ever recorded in his four-man career.
5:22 getaway, leaves them 900s behind Nico Walter.
And that's just because this team has not been together. Once the athleticism, once these guys start to all get the teamwork in, the individual athlete is there. Now they have to mold themselves into a team.
And Ollie Biddulph, 24 years old, still starting his climb up the ladder in terms of experience. But
to be 900s back, only 800s of that's a good sign for
hanging
the
on
British.
very well. Just a 10th behind out of the Kreisel. They were 900s behind from the start alone. This is a really good drive from Ollie Biddulph.
Still not bad. Let's see if he can get into the 130 kilometers, 81 mile an hour speed.
Better speed than the German sled at the bottom. He's exactly the same
speed.
Wow. That's a good run.
That's not bad. He's 900s at the start down, 27 at the finish. We always say there's a 3-time multiplier effect. So he drove his equal Walter there.
Do you know what? That's a big feather in his cap. Yeah.
He's usually 5/6 back from the previous years we saw him. So, Ollie, good stuff. And this exit of, look at this, the pictures out of 13, 14. This is out of 8, 9, excuse me. He set himself up a little bit of drift. You can see a lot of snow in the straightaway there.
Yeah, there is. A lot of fans down there as well, exiting the Tudai curve. That's one of the good places to watch. There's Ollie Biddulph. That was a good drive.
Yeah, that's his best competitive heat of his career.
Oskars Kībermanis. The Latvians have arrived. They've been driving in Europe, didn't come to North America, so they're a long way behind in World Cup points. But they are still up to speed, at least most of them are. Kībermanis had a good run yesterday in the 2-man competition. Most impressive. Again, perhaps his career high.
This will be the best. I would predict this will be the best start. I would think this has got to be single digits. These 4 monsters. 14. I'm surprised at that. But look at right out of that first curve, he went from 100th down to up. He had the best start speed. See this on the left? So that's the 4 athletes getting in the sled with a power step. They did that better than the German team. Now he's got that up to 3. This could be his breakout year. He never had won a medal till yesterday. And we were all perplexed why this guy wasn't doing better with the great starts that he got. Well, now he's Latvia really #1 because Melbardis is still nursing a back injury. This could be a breakout season for this young Latvian athlete.
Yep.
And he's still young, Martin.
Still has the lead over Nico Walter, the winner 2 years ago, the silver medalist last season.
Big skid though. Watch out.
Down to 400.
Oh, watch out. See how late he was into that curve? That was that skid of 13, 14.
Oh.
Cost him. Look at that. That cost him all the time on the bottom. That one little skid out of 14. 13, 14, get into 14 late, came out. Still not bad. He's not 300s close to Nico Walter.
Look at the team, they love that. They know that was a good drive. But he shakes his head a little because that mistake is preying on his mind. But the team love that you feel a good run in the back of the sled.
Yeah, the Kreisel, he did pretty good here. His mistake was down to 13, 14. Right here. Comes out too early. That back ends in a skid, and this hit. Now watch what happens here further on. He's late coming to this curve. He almost tipped over right there. He had the runners up in the wood. Yeah. That was a close call. But this track, every place in this track's a close call.
Oskars Kībermanis lies in second place, 300ths off Nico Walter. 3 of our 20 sleds down. Already, the crowd are starting to sense a little bit of anticipation. Next up, from the Czech Republic, Jan Verber. Altenberg is about 10 kilometers from the border with the Czech Republic. It's about an hour and a quarter now down to Prague, the capital. Jan Verber and Dominik Dvořák had a little bit of trying time yesterday. Dvořák and Verber both made the second heat in the two-man, 19th and 20th.
We were pretty impressed with Dvořák's start time.
He comes up next. Jan Verber with the more experienced crew. Dvořák with the young guns who are trying to unseat the senior team. And that's something really beneficial for a nation, to have a young crew pushing the experienced ones along.
This Czech team had a pretty good result here 3 years ago. He was top 5. He was in the medals at the end of the first run. This is really their home track. Ooh, that push bar, I don't know if that hit.
Yeah, it looks
speed,
like
look at the second best speed at 60 meters. 22 start though.
Same as Oli Bidov, the team from Great Britain.
One thing about that start, you can run too far, you can pull the sled back, and then if you get in, you don't get in with that cat-like movements, that can alter the speed. The speed of the exit of curve 1 at 60 meters, you really need it all.
Czech colours being held over the track there, down the straightaway to 10 and 11.
11, 12, looks pretty tame today. This curve here, though, watch the back end of the sled's nice. Well, we will see some back end of the sled in airborne. And if they're airborne going in that 13-14, then most likely will crash.
Jan Verber across the line. He's 4th at the moment, but 55 hundredths back. And again, that underlines what a good job Oli Bidov did. Same start, and he's a quarter of a second quicker.
Says he's got the best speed. That's confusing there because he's...
Well, it might have come in the last couple of corners, but he lost a little too much further on up the track.
Yeah, he wasn't like the British sled, single digits entering Kreisel. He was way back.
Not the most youthful of sleds, this.
You know, I think there must have been something happened up here because they had decent start speed. And then about curve 3, they were considerably off the pace. So some might have been mishap getting in the sled. I don't know.
A little skid 2 to 3 somewhere there.
Yeah, but look at the beautiful pictures the team's putting out. Look at, you think that's easy jumping in there?
And the guy at 4 has to sit down first, then they sit down in between each other's legs. So the man at 2 behind the driver is the last to get out of the wind. We've just seen Jan Verber of the Czech Republic. This is Dominik Dvořák, his young teammate. Dvořák produced the better result of the pair yesterday.
Good starts yesterday. Two-man, 4th best start. It's impressive. 21 here, though, not the same. Look at the speed at 60 meters. And that tells you those 4 guys had the best entry into the sled. The clock says 50 meters. The speed's registered at 60 meters. Ooh, little tap there. Might have gone on 3 to 4. Might have gone on 4 too early. 2 tenths down. That's relative to the negative start time. There's the Czech. Not far from the Czech border, Mark.
Very close indeed. It's as close to Prague almost in terms of drive time now as it is to Dresden, this track.
Ooh, little bumpy there to watch. Get on the right side here. Nice. The track looks pretty forgiving today. Watch out here, though. You get in there a little late and had to, I'm sure, Robin Hood it off.
Big bump in the air.
74 hundredths. He's 20 hundredths behind his teammate, 19 hundredths, 5th. The best thing about today's competition, there's 20 sleds in the field. All 20 sleds will be in the heat, the second run, if they all get to the bottom.
Yeah, as long as they all cross the finish line in the sled, whether it's upside down or right way up. Dominik Dvořák, first trip down in the 4-man, and he is in 5th place at the moment.
Little skid here, exit of 9. You could see, I mean, it's tough to get these big sport utilities, but when they start to skid, that's a lot of energy going left to right.
You get a lot of pendulum
effect. Look at the
effect.
back end of the sled there. So he crossed over there too early. You know, a little impatient in 11-12, which he won't be the only one today.
Again, the ice about 5 degrees warmer than yesterday. The sled nearly twice as heavy, so more grip. So he's anticipating based on yesterday and just turning a little too early, maybe. Well, here's our World Cup leader. Nico Walter is our race leader at the moment. And Rico Peter, well, full of excitement after his first ever 4-man win in North America when he won in Lake Placid. North American leg then, silver in Whistler, gold in Lake Placid. Think he's feeling confident?
Look how quickly they're in. Speed 45.3, 600s off. The start, but boy, were they in that sled quick. Ooh, that's a tap.
Yeah.
That's costly.
Ooh, and
how about here?
Pulls it down a little as well.
Pretty good there. Boy, he's 800s back. Another tap. That could go out to 12, 1500s here if he's not careful. Ooh. No! Whoa, here comes the Swiss speed that he showed us in Lake Placid. They're real high there. You see that little variance on the exit of Kreisel? He's got it too.
Here we go, challenging Nico Walter for the lead.
He's dead heat, right to the 100th. I gotta believe Swiss.
Oh my goodness.
He's letting the sled fly, which he is. 81.7 takes the lead. Wow. By 100.
Wolfgang Stampfer should have a big smile on his face, but he was looking at that, particularly with that penultimate corner going, oh!
This could be one of those races where you have about 7 sleds separated by 10 hundredths.
Yeah.
This is.
Well, every race so far has been high drama. We've had a couple of very large winning margins, but we've had an awful lot of drama and close racing.
Just think of what he would have done without those mistakes up top.
Yeah.
And the Kreisel was a strange line. Now watch the way the sled consistently comes around here. And then at the last moment, it climbs at the end. Right here, it goes up, and then, look at that. That's too high. But then all of a sudden he became fast. Maybe that's his way of coming in and out of that Kreisel.
Well, you know, he's Swiss. The last track he drove before here, it was Horseshoe.
Look how high he is there.
Yeah, that was...
He just doesn't like to steer, does he?
Got away with that, didn't he?
Did.
That might have been judgment. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He knows more than I do.
He's talking about it.
Yeah, we
saw it, Rico. We saw what you're talking about, man.
Thank you, guys in the truck. That's exactly what we needed to hear. Yeah, he was slightly surprised by that as well. Talking there with Sepp Plotzer, fellow Swiss. Johannes Lochner next up. Bronze medalist in Whistler in the 4-man.
Here's another guy that wants to extract some revenge on the track. I think his performance yesterday was related to equipment.
Well, he's going to be a happy boy this year. Not only one World Cup race in his home track in Koenigsegg, Bavaria, but also the World Championships.
That start speed, 46.1. Anytime you have that 46 magic number, let's see if he can stay clean up here, unlike the Swiss, who just came down. And he didn't hit there. Now see 3 to 4. Nice. Johannes was not a happy camper yesterday. Just perplexing his way back at 16th, 17th, placing in the first run for a guy with one of the best starts.
Now, we talked about the Germans missing Lake Placid to come
Whoa,
and
look at this.
test all their sleds. This is a brand new sled.
4 tenths.
Yeah, that's
we just talked about the race being close.
5 tenths up.
That's ridiculous.
Brand new Valna sled for Johannes Lochner. This is his first race in it.
Watch out here, watch out. Oh, he got away with it. He's really high there, too. He almost tipped over 13, 14. The fastest I bet he's ever been down the track this season for sure.
Wow.
Look at that lead. Oh, wait a minute. What are we just talking about? It's going to be a close race? What was that?
Well, don't forget, in the men's skeleton, we saw Martin Stukurz beaten into second place by 3/10 of a second. I don't think Martin Stukurz has been beaten by 3/10 of a second over 2 heats in a decade. And Lochner, this brand new sled, as he's now proved, is worth every single euro.
Well, he had the fastest start at the top of the track.
500ths off a 21-year-old start record.
Martin, I'm looking here. I don't see him in last year at all in any 4-man race. You know why? Because Max Arndt was playing with us.
Yeah, Max Arndt raced in
So
4-man.
this might be his first ever World Cup race. Is that possible? I don't think he was in the four-man at 15. This is close here. He really had to steer hard to get off that curve there. Then when he steered hard, all of a sudden he has to go to the high part of the 15.
He's on the Rico Peter line.
There's Matthias Hoffner. I had to let it go, Matthias. There was nothing I could do. I was going so fast.
Yeah. I think that caught him by surprise. Next up then, Maxim Andrianov. Are we going to return to a little bit of normality here after that wild ride? Peter Masayev, Yuri Selikov, Ilya Malik. Malik was on the two-man sled yesterday.
Well, he'll give up time at the start, but boy, was he fast on the track. Speeds for the Russian sleds yesterday in the bottom with deficient start times was as good as anybody. And there's a drift out of one. Speed way off, kilometer down at the 60-meter mark to the Germans.
The problem now is Lochner has moved the bar so much.
Yeah. What did he have in that sled?
What did he have for breakfast?
Really? We're going to say 7 sleds at the top, 10 hundreds. Yeah, well, he's got a half-second lead.
Yeah.
This is challenging for second, third, or fourth here. No, back at 6.
But don't forget, at that stage, Lochner was 5,800 up on anyone.
Boy, he didn't like his line out of 13, 14, started to play with the runners. Start steering like that, you start slowing yourself down. 5th, 8th best start time, 5th best down time. Alexander Zhukov looks at that, says, well, I got 2 more sleds coming, and one of them is the favorite in the field.
600s ahead of Ollie Biddulph, 5th and 6th. And 3rd to 4th, 300ths of a second. 2nd to 3rd, 100th of a second. So 2nd, 3rd, and 4th covered by 400ths. We've got a tight field. Okay, Lochner might be a couple of steps in front.
Here's a big mistake. We're going to skid out of 1. That's friction of the type you don't want. Here, look at the rudder tips. He's just trying to stay off the wall, but that tells you, doing that with the two-man, you probably caused a skid doing that. The four-man, you got 600 more pounds, 500 more pounds on it. And
doesn't do much.
Doesn't do much.
Especially over that crest there, just beside our commentary position. So 8 sleds down. Next up is our second Russian. This is Alexei Stulnev with his two-man brakeman Vasily Kondratenko at 2. Then Ilya Hutsin and Roman Koshelev on the back handles. Stulnev had a good run yesterday as well. Lock on the right-hand side. When the light goes green, you have 60 seconds to break the start beam.
You know, 9 back.
Yeah, 5/8
skid also.
Start.
Both Russian sleds skids out of curve 1. Efficient start times, and then a really costly mistake in the first 100 meters. And he's already 3/10 down. He's paid the price for that mistake. Now, what he saw at him yesterday, 28 to 37. If he keeps it around 40, 45 here, he can use the speed he had yesterday in the bottom part of the track and get into the top 3. 45, not bad. Watch out, watch out. The back end, he's okay. This is good here, 60. This is 5th now. Speed doesn't have the speed he had yesterday.
Well, different sleds,
yeah.
different discipline there,
2-man.
Two-man might have a lot more speed than the 4-man.
Yeah, but he had the 4th best start, the 5th best finish. He should have done better than that. His mistake, exit of curve 1, was 2/10.
His speed at the bottom, incidentally, 81.5 miles an hour. Fastest sled of all, Dominik Dvorak of the Czech Republic, 82.6. So whatever sled Dvorak's got, is that old Dresden that Verba used to have?
Maybe. Look at this skid here. Now he's got to go on the left side of this curve, and there you have to steer so hard to avoid disaster in the 13-14 crossover.
Big skid, and to back it in, not comfortable at all. But he lies in 5th ahead of Maxim Andrianov with 9 of our sleds down, 11 to come. This is the USA's Cody Basque. Frank Del Duca, Adrian Adams, and Sam Mitchener on the back of the Night Train 2.
Yeah, pretty cool. There's 4 guys here from 4 different states, from Oregon to Maine. That's a long ways away.
All coming together in upstate New York.
New York, South Carolina, Oregon and Maine right here. The driver, he's from an hour from Lake Placid, Cody Bescu.
Cody saying the other day just how much he loves the way this night train drives, and that's I think probably a comment you get from Stephen Holcomb of the same.
Well, the 19th best or the 10th best start at 10 sleds is going to sentence him to hopefully to get into the top 8 or something, but that type of deficiency at the start. No mistakes, and he did the same thing in training. Pounded the wall from 3 to 4. But, you know, he doesn't have a lot of trips in the sled or on the track. 10th best start. Ooh, boy, big variance there. Watch out here. Oh! 13, 14. A little late. Not bad there. He's got it up to 9th. Boy, he really yarned it there. So does a lot of other sleds. 9th. Well, you know, when you're 1900s down at the start, pretty tough to make it up. He wasn't real smooth up top of the track. He'll be the first one to tell you that curve 3 to 4.
Well, worth pointing out again, as we have in every race, that training the track was so snowy at one stage they actually had to cancel half a day's training because it was just undrivable. So race day conditions very different.
You know, these guys had better starts in Placid and Whistler. Surprised at this. See if there's any mistake. Look at the 4 guys. Choreography on ice, we call it. And getting in, getting down, and getting comfortable back there, because you can't ride the sled as a sandbag, especially when the driver hits the wall like that. You got to respond. You got to know where you are. Look at the back end. Look at how much time that was worth. When you have that much air time, with look at, he knows too. I mean, he's a young pilot. He knows what he did.
10 sleds down, Johannes Lochner, a couple of strides ahead of the field, but look at the battle for second. 3 sleds in 400ths of a second.
Well, here comes an interesting story.
Now, Benny Meyer with Stefan Lauseger, Markus Sammer and Dana Moldovan. Yesterday, Benny Meyer's best ever World Cup result in 2-man. Let's see what he can produce here. What does it say on the back of the handle?
Playing something. In down, the Austrians look real quick there. 5:20 though, he better starts. Last year, and he had a skid out of 1. Speed wasn't the best. 60-meter mark. 3-4. Watch what happens here. Nice. 16 back, considering the start deficiency. That's not bad.
He was 1100s back when he sat down, so this is a good-looking run. Don't forget that our race leader, Johannes Lochner, was half a second quicker than anyone.
If he can keep these numbers, he'll be in second. Bottom part of the track. He needs to be clean, and took a lot of 11, 12. Now he lost a lot. Boy, he lost a lot into Kreisel and out of Kreisel. 38, but he's still holding number 2.
Nice, clean lines. Benny Meyer is going to drive himself into second place in the 4-man.
Wow.
3700s back, even closed on the German at the bottom of the track.
Hey, the Austrians, he had a pretty good day yesterday. Top 5. The 2-man competition. This is another 22-year-old pilot. There's about 5 of them that are starting to emerge.
Him whooping and hollering. Good job, Benny.
And he had that little skid out of curve 1.
Yep.
That's start here was good, but speed at the start.
Look at that. Accelerates from 0 to 30 kilometers an hour in 3 seconds. Lochner 2.1. That's like your 0 to 60 car in your speed in a car. That's a big
Look
difference.
at that number 2 guy come in with the perfect technique to bring his hands down. A lot of technique in that 4-man start. Good job, Benny.
Big smile on his face all weekend. Well, next up is Alexander Kasyanov, winner of the season opener in Whistler. Missed out on the podium in Lake Placid, so he's second in the World Cup points. This is their A-train, isn't it? Everything put behind Kasyanov to try and get him into gold medal winning position for
14, 17. Well, he's got to be good here. He is. Saw the left runner, his left runner, flick it a little bit, the exit of 1. See if he gets through 3-4 clean. He should. This is one of the best. 16 down. That's a little bit better than the Austrian who just came down. And Gazinov, who won the event. Whistler, right?
Yep. Last Russian to take a medal here was in 2011.
Watch out here, he's not done yet through 13-14. Was not smooth. Still hanging in there in second though. Speed on the bottom, if he gets up to high 131, 32, 33. This is the best speed. Whoa!
A 10th clear of Benny Meyer. There's Alexander Zubkov, the last man to take a medal on this track. He got a silver in 2011.
He's 2,700s back. What would he have been without the mistake at 11-12?
Yevgeny Popov, another of the Russian coaches. He took a bronze medal here the season before, 2009-10. Zubkov's had 3 silvers in 4 races, including the Worlds in 2008.
Crossover, got on a little early, tried to cross over there and cheat, and the track said no, 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 and skid. This is a little horrifying here when you're skidding into 13, because you can get in a lot of trouble, 13-14 crossover, if you aren't not in on time, and then you're still fighting the mistake he made in 11 way down at the exit of 14.
Yep. He got away with that. He's got away with that, but not by much. Next up, Great Britain's Lamin Dean. Now, the team were telling me yesterday that in age, they get younger from the front to the back. Lamin Dean's 36, Mark Lewis Francis 34, Andy Matthews 33, Tremaine Gilling 27. Mark Lewis Francis reckons they get prettier from the front to the back as well, and then they peak at 2 and get uglier behind him.
Some big boys here.
Some big boys indeed. Total age of the crew, 130. So that makes the whole 4 of them just a little older than Coach Lee Johnson in the background.
Oh, something happened.
Yep.
Look at that, the clock was going.
Clock is still running. So what did Lee Johnson see?
They broke up their sequence there. Yep. They have to refocus.
They get back in the huddle, call this again.
4 very large, fast men coming off the top of this Altenberg Bob-bomb. See if they can muster up. 22.
Same as their teammates.
Surprise. Oh, big skid out of Lamin there. Oh, that's the worst one we've seen yet. It's tapped there, 3-4. No more mistakes from him.
It's been a tough weekend for British bobsleighing. Misha McNeil crashed out of the women's race. Bruce Tasker crashed out of the 2-man. Lamin Dean didn't make the top 20, didn't make the second heat in 2-man. So they're hoping for a better day today. 10th place at the moment. Teammate Ollie Biddulph is 9th.
This is really rough. Loose. Articulation of that sled was totally maxed out in 11-12. Boy, and he's back in the pack.
Still
surprised. Well, you know, he's got no chance.
10th place, Great Britain 10th, Lamin Dean 9th, Ollie Biddulph. But what did Lee Johnson see at the top? Why was there that delay? They managed to get themselves all psyched up and synced up, but yeah. Well, Lamin knows that with this team, they should be aiming for top half dozen as a benchmark, but upsetting before the snap is always going to be a little bit of an issue.
Well, curve 1, you have to exit here perfectly. He goes into the middle, comes out and look at the back end of the sled, and he taps too. So that's 25 or 30 hundredths. Here, watch the articulation, the suspension, watch the sled maxed out. You don't want to see a sled do that. Plus all the air gets in there. That is not aerodynamic perfect, and that was a rough ride.
Yes, it was. Well, guardsman from Manchester will have to go back up, think about it again, and change his anticipation. Next up, Stephen Holcomb of the USA, silver medalist in the 4-man in Lake Placid, hot off his 2-man win last time out.
4 other Americans from 4 different states. Between the 2 American teams, 8 different states. 7 states in 1 country. Oh, 1 guy in there late. Start time. Wow, way off the mark. Wow, decent speed though.
Da liegen sie hinter noch, ne?
U.S. Holcomb gets start times. We all know what he can do with it. Without the starts, it's pretty tough to challenge.
Holcomb focusing now on learning how to drive this new BMW 4-man. It's the first time that the BMW team have produced a 4-man sled. Holcomb did back-to-back testing with the night train pre-season, but now he's got to learn how this sled drives.
Good exit. 8th. Which is decent considering the start time that he got.
What a different noise, isn't it? The crackling of the runners on the ice. Very different noise the sled makes.
Decent speed,
7th place.
considering he's 1500ths behind at the start.
54.92 the time for Steve Holcomb.
So 12th fastest start, drives into 7th behind Oscar's Kibermanis. And ahead of both the Russian sleds of Stilnev and Adrianov.
Well, it just doesn't matter what type of piece of equipment you have underneath you. When you have the 12th best start, it's pretty tough to drive yourself into a podium challenge. It's the problems at the start. You know, I don't think they all got in good. And watch the number 2 guy. He's waiting for the other guys to get in behind him. And okay, this is, you know, and this. Not a lot of space to jump in there when you're big guys. And look at the number 2 guy. He's waiting for 3. 3 can't, look at his foot.
Yeah.
See the foot sticking for the 3 guy.
That's Jimmy Reed at 3.
And he's, you know, that's a delay. So the 2's like, come on, get in, get down. Come on, we have to get out. We're going around the first curve.
Sam Michener's already in. There's Steve Holcomb. Sepp Plotzer down there. Heard him chatting to Rico Peter earlier on, going, what was going on with that? Next up, Justin Cripps of Canada. Just one Canadian sled here. Chris Spring flew into Europe, and coming out of the plane, his knee locked up. He's been in hospital in Dresden, a place that he's familiar with already from a few years back. He hopes to be competing again in Whistler.
These guys should get in the teens.
Cripps hasn't had a 4-man medal this season. 5:22 is a pretty midfield start.
Boy, there's a lot of people tapping out of that curve 1. Cripps just did also, I'd say 6, 7 sleds. He hit there in 2 out of that, 2 to 3. Here he's pretty good. Now you can't make the mistakes up top, especially when you have the 9th best start time. You got to be perfect. It's a challenge. The guy leading the race, he's got the best start.
Good exit out of 9, but he's 6/10 behind already. He hasn't even got to the Kreisel.
Clean.
But no speed. Speed's just falling off the sled.
That's going to cost him a little bit.
Yeah.
So he's going to be a top 12 probably.
Well, that's a tough run for Justin Cripps in Canada. 55:21. Linden Rush there.
Yeah, you know, when you have his 9th best start, like Holcomb at 12th best start, drove himself into 7th. 12th best start, 9th best start for the Canadians. Justin Cripps should have drove himself into 7th or 8th. But the mistake got a curve 1. He's not the only guy who's done that, but that's turned into quite a little nemesis. People might be looking past curve 1, and it's catching them all. Look at this. Look at see him try and check the runners.
Yep.
It's not what you want. And then in curve 2, watch him come out and smack the wall here on the left. He's trying to get over here.
Long skid, same as Lamin Dean.
And then that was a hard, on the exit of 14, that was a hard wrap.
12th place for Cripps. 1200s behind Lamin Dean in 11th. 1500s out of a top 10. Johannes Lochner with a handy advantage over Alexander Kasyanov and Benny Meyer. Germany, Russia, Austria, Switzerland. Is it the 1980s? The big names are still the big names in 4-man bobsleigh. And Francesco Frugic, the biggest.
Here comes
Last year's winner in 4-man and 2-man. Won the 2-man yesterday, going away like he was in a 3-man sled. He was so much clear of the field. Candy Bauer, Martin Grotkopp, who won his first ever 2-man gold yesterday. And Torsten Margis is on the back of the sled, which he wasn't in the 2-man.
Quick, easy down, nice efficiency, 5/10 down. Good speed, 46.6. That's the best start velocity we've seen, and he was clean out of 1 and 2. But he's not got green numbers yet.
29 miles an hour, pushing from a standing start in 50 meters.
Remember, Lochner went early. Lochner went
7th, and this is now 16th on the ice. So the track won't be quite as quick.
Now he's got 1100s back. He's got to watch out. Ooh, that's a really, look at, that's the same line Lochner had though.
High on the edge of the Kreisel, drills it down the straight that follows.
Maybe that's the line here in Altenberg this year. 2500s, he's fighting to stay in second.
He's not going to win it from this run, is he?
No, but there's 2 runs, 2400s. 300's better than the Russians, Kazanov.
That's the way the Germans find the speed here. They take a high looping final pressure out of the Kreisel.
What we thought was deficient.
Everybody else likes to come out low and middle. They like to dive off it like horseshoe in St. Moritz.
There'll be a few coaches talking about that line to the rest of the team.
And all the rest of the team's going, I'm not going up that high.
I'm trying to get out of here, this place.
Yeah, it's an eye-opener.
A lot of people from Dresden. 3 of these guys, or the 4 guys, are from Dresden. Saxony
Huge local fan club here for Francesco Friedrich.
Okay, now this is look at this, the difference here in the comparison, but look how high he gets here.
See how many more meters he covers through the Kreisel. Nearly 3 meters further.
And watch the sled climb here. I didn't see it, but...
So he used much more of a wavy line. And if you think about it, if you're in a drag race, you want to go straight ahead. If you're zigging and zagging, you're not going as fast.
And you want to have the fastest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Damn right. Straighten every corner if you can. That's the racing line with a car or a sled. Second of our 3 Latvian sleds in, Ugis Zalims. A firefighter who comes in from the sport of tug of war. So he's gone from pulling things to pushing things.
We didn't know anything about this guy. Last year, the Latvians showed up with the 3rd team in St. Moritz. Okay, we casually did a headshot, and he went out and won a silver medal. Wow, there's a skid. So he's sentenced to middle of the pack with that skid at exit curve 1. He's already 8th best start, but bleeding to 11th. And that's relative to the start mistake out of curve 1. And that's late there, out of 9. 13th. Ooh, flops it out of the Kreisel. 14th, losing more time. Listen to the sound. Great sound, Mario. Wow. 16th.
So he's between Cody Bascu of the USA and Dominik Dvorak of the Czech Republic.
Well, you know, I said he was going to be middle of the pack. He's not. He's in the back of the pack. But, you know, that mistake out of curve 1, crucial.
Yeah, he's in good company there.
Here, he flops it out of here, though. Let's see if he climbs like the German sleds. No. And then watch here. Here's the replay of it. Look how high he gets here in the exit. And then he and that runner, yeah, the back runner is in the air. He flopped it off the curve.
Brought it down too early,
yeah.
and the centrifugal force wasn't finished. Pushed him back up the wall on the exit.
What do you call it?
Centrifugal force.
Centrifugal?
Centrifugal. Aluminium. 2 nations separated by a common language. Dorin Grigore of Romania next up. Grigore raced in the 2-man as well. Didn't go to North America. The girls did, but the guys stayed in Europe racing in the European Cup, the 2nd tier of competition.
Constantine, the Romanian girl, did pretty good the other day.
Yeah.
Top 5 in the first run. I think she fell to 7th.
And I wonder whether they're going to have both women's sleds in the field
I would think so.
in Winterberg next week when they're at home.
Yeah. 44.5 speed. Wow. Can't compete with that type of start and speed, but the Romanians, they make it happen with nickels and dimes. They're at every event. And the Romanians, you know, Olympic medal in Grenoble, World Championship medal. I think the last one was in Lake Placid in '69. So they were a powerful nation in the sport back in the day.
Skids out of 12, holds it all together through 13.
It's a line as we've seen.
Yeah.
But it's just slow.
Gets down to the line. 55.69.
Pause einlegen, also bitte in die Bahn hinein.
Again, a very different noise from this sled. Certain sleds, certain chassis have a very different sound. Certain aerodynamics have a very different sound, but you hear that less on this track because the speeds aren't quite as high. When we get to San Moritz, you'll hear some whistle like a low-flying jet. There's Dorian Grigore. So 18 sleds down, 2 to go. Francesco Friedrich's fan club are out in fourth. He lies second. Johannes Lochner first. Nico Walter in sixth. And with 2 sleds to go, this is Simone Bertazzo making his seasonal debut in 4-man. Oops, slips on the ice as he goes out to pull up the driver's push bar. I like his 2-man sled with Pirelli sponsorship. It's got a fabulous wrap with a Formula 1 car down the side of it.
They take it to the right. Yeah, look at that beautiful sled.
looks
Uniforms, the helmets.
100%, doesn't it?
Yeah, the Italians might not win here at the bottom, but they certainly have one of the best color combinations of helmets and suits.
Italian with style? What's this? Nothing new there.
They win the style medal. They got it.
What a beauty. They went on Due. That's not right. Simone Bertazzo was waiting for Trey, and they went on Due.
Simone's about 60%. Had some surgery this summer. You know, in the twilight of his career, he's the last, whatever the Italians have left. Mattia Gasperi and Skeleton's doing pretty good the last couple of years. He's coming on, but no women's program and men. The guys down in the Europa Cup, but they say there's not a lot of speed down there. You can drive as good as you want, like he's doing right here. But when you know, in the 17th best start, he's already driven himself up to 14th. Look at these lines. I mean, this is a veteran pilot.
Long skid out of 12. Could be a top 12 run, guys.
Look at this. You know, it's as good as it gets. Give some of these guys who had some problems coming down these drive lines. I mean,
13th place, 200s ahead of Justin Cripps of Canada. 2 very good drivers, both of them probably a dozen places behind where they would prefer. Someone appears to have an Italian police horn. What's going on with that? Of course, the Italians with a very starry sliding past. Natural track at Cervinia now closed. Cortina now closed. 2006 winter track at Cesana now closed.
Look at this. Boy, the number 3 guy on the left has ran a long time. Usually they try and hit that.
Did he get his foot on? No, he didn't. He got in okay.
He got in a little late there. You should get on that back panel. Everybody wants to get on at the same time and then cohesively get in, get down. And he had a little bit of a fire drill there.
Costantino Uge, the guy at 2, is open-eyed, staring at corner 1 as it rushes up towards him, and he's still sat up in the air. Simone Bertazzo looking for the scabbards to move the sled as Oskars Melbardis gets ready for what will be his 3rd trip in a 4-man this year, this season. He didn't slide at all before the new year. He's had half a dozen trips in a 2-man.
This is your 2016 World Champion. Push bar, still on that out. Uh-oh.
Won't come back in now, it does, but...
Don't think that, look at the start speed, only 45.2. Don't think that didn't affect him. He had the 5th best start, which is pretty good, but no start speed. That's relative to that guy reaching up around the first curve trying to pull that bar in. Even a minute movement like that costs you some speed. 5th now to 9th as he comes into the Kreisel, 360-degree whip around, and
silver medal 2 seasons ago for Oskars Melbardis, the only Latvian medal on this track since the Cold War era, probably.
8th in this event last year. first in the final event. I mean, the World Championships, that's what counts. 11th. Well, for a guy who's 50, 60%, Sanders Purses.
50% healthy, 5:15 start. He can't have done.
They are the best starting team when they have their team together.
But he hasn't driven a sled, a four-man, more than half a dozen times. And that includes now 3 trips down the track here.
Push bar. Now he's starting to reach up. He's in that curve still. Look, he's aerodynamics, movement. That's hundreds of seconds up here, multiplies down below.
It's spring-loaded, it should just pop in, and it clearly got jammed, and Janis Strenger there at 4 is wrestling with it.
Look at he's looking at it, see?
Now, of course, he drove at Sigulda. You can't get a 4-man down Sigulda, so he only did 2-man runs there, so he's done 2 4-man training runs plus this competition run.
Well, how about this guy?
Johannes Lochner, well, he's been okay. He's been fit this season, and he clearly has dialed himself into this
What was in this
track.
sled? This is his World Cup debut with a 4-man. Didn't race last year. Skidded on the bottom. We were shocked when he posted the time that he did.
I think he might have been a little shocked as well, but his new Valna sled is clearly absolutely flying.
We've had a lot of first-time winners on the track this week. Could have another one right here.
We have indeed. Johannes Lochner leads. Francesco Friedrich, quarter second back, battling with Alexander Kazyanov and potentially Benny Meyer for the medals. Rico Peter and Nico Walter with Oskars Kibermanis. 400s apart, then Stephen Holcomb trying to separate himself from Alexei Stulnev and move up the top 10. Oli Bidov, Lamindine, 12th and 13th behind Mel Bardis. Justin Cripps in a disappointing 15th place. And again, youngster Dominic Dvorak trying to catch and pass his teammate Jan Verber. He's got a couple of places and a quarter of a second to make up if he's going to do that. Dvorak had the upper hand in 2-man. Verber still does in 4-man. But Johannes Lochner with a quarter-second advantage going into the second heat. He will be the last man on the ice. What he does now not want to see is snow. We've had light snow almost every day. There is light snow falling at the moment. That could throw a cat among the pigeons.
There's 13, 14. Look at the change of directions of those 2 curves.
Yeah, and they're hitting those at 75 miles an hour, so that's exactly why it's such a drama. The old start buildings, finish buildings down the bottom there. Our Ice Meister and his crew will be re-preparing the track for the second run here, the last run of the weekend in Altenberg. Will the Germans get another medal? Chances seem extremely likely. We'll have another first-time winner. That might come as well. Join us for all the action there on ice at 11:30 local, 10:30 Greenwich Mean Time. We'll see you then. Bye for now.